The holidays quite like sweet treats, especially gingerbread. But here at Gaylord Opryland Resort, we're making something special. Gingerbread snickerdoodles. I'm joined by the executive pastry chef, David Schwab. David, you're going to teach us how to make this treat?
I am. It's going to be a lot of fun.
I'm really excited. Before we get started, can you tell us a little bit about kind of what goes into creating all of this magical goodness at Opryland over the holidays?
So a lot of time, effort, and love. We really, spend a lot of time thinking about what we're going to do and making sure that it's the best it can possibly be.
Yeah. Now I'm assuming we're going to start with some basics that people are going to have, like flour.
Correct.
And so take us through what this recipe entails.
So basically we're going to start with, the different ingredients. We have egg, sugar, molasses, butter, salt, cinnamon, ginger, a little cream of tartar, and baking soda.
Okay.
And of course, flour, the main ingredient.
All right, well, let's get started on the recipe.
Okay, so the first thing we're gonna do is mix our spices and our flour together. And it's super important whenever you're making cookies that have multiple different spices and different baking sodas and baking powders to make sure that it's all mixed together with the flour first. Mm-hmm. That way you don't end up with a little clump of spice where it's not supposed to be in the end. So it's always good to mix all the dry ingredients together first. Yep, so we had our salt and our cinnamon that we've added in. We're gonna add in our baking soda.
Okay.
Cream of tartar. And ginger. And we'll just give this a quick whisk to make sure that all of our spices and dry ingredients are combined with our flour. So we're gonna add the butter.
Okay. And are we gonna add something to the butter?
We're gonna add the sugar.
Okay.
And we're gonna start creaming this together. So we're gonna add the molasses to our butter and sugar.
And how long would you say you're gonna cream that butter and sugar for?
Not very long. So long as your butter's at room temperature, it comes together pretty fast, maybe 2 minutes.
Okay.
We're gonna add the molasses and let this mix for another couple minutes. We're gonna leave the mixer running and we're gonna add our eggs one at a time. So we're gonna add in our flour.
And you're doing this by hand?
We're gonna do this by hand. I'm gonna start by hand.
Okay.
Because we don't want to overmix it. At this point is when we're really gonna make the difference between whether the cookie is tough or whether it's tender. Over mixing it after you've added the flour is what will cause that to happen.
Interesting.
What we'll do now is we'll put this into the cooler, into the refrigerator. We'll let it chill for anywhere from 12 to 24 hours.
Really?
And it'll harden up, it'll solidify.
Okay.
And at that point we can scoop it and add it to our cinnamon sugar.
Okay, so we have our chilled dough now.
We do, yes.
This is when the magic happens.
This is where the magic happens.
Take us through it. Okay.
So we're gonna use a small melon ball or ice cream scoop. Either one works really well. And it's good because it portions the cookies to the same size, which is important because when they're baking, you want them to all bake evenly. So it's important that one isn't smaller than the other or they're gonna bake differently.
See, and I thought I was the only one that knew that trick. Okay, all right.
Okay.
Glad I'm doing something right at home.
We're gonna take our chilled dough.
Okay.
And just portion out.
So this is also interesting. You're rolling it in the dough, or rolling the dough in the cinnamon sugar, so you're getting that yumminess all throughout instead of just sprinkling it on top.
Yeah, we want it totally covered with the cinnamon sugar.
So it looks like you've got 15?
So we've got 15 on our half sheet pan.
Okay.
Which is basically a baking pan that you would have at home.
Okay, and you've got, is that parchment paper that you want it with?
We have parchment paper on the bottom, which is important because we have rolled them in the cinnamon sugar. So the sugar is going to stick to the pan if we don't put a paper underneath of it.
And we're going to put those in the oven. What should that be set to?
350 degrees for a home oven. These ovens operate a little bit differently, so we would bake it on 335 here, just a little bit lower, but basically 350 on a home oven. And they're going to bake for about 12 to 14 minutes, just depending on the oven.
And through the magic of television,
let's get our cookies out.
Let's get the cookies. We have some here, but why would you eat these when you could eat them right out of the oven? I mean, I'm just saying. May I, Chef?
Absolutely, please.
Oh. You're right. It's got the crisp outer edge, the chewy interior. I'm glad that we could show you how to make them at home, but man, there's nothing like having them straight from the pastry chef himself, Chef David. Thank you so much for
Thank
being
you.
here. Make sure that you come to enjoy not only these gingerbread snickerdoodles, but all of the sweet treats here at Gaylord Opryland Resort. Remember, you can book your tickets and room packages, including tickets, at Christmas@GaylordOpryland.com.